$140 million. That is what makes this channel different, and is the amount of money that I managed as a financial advisor. But why did I run from that job? Not walk, run, to do stuff like this instead. This is going to be more of a personal storytelling video because it is a story of why I left. Let's go ahead and break it down. To understand this story, we have to start at the beginning. I didn't start my career as a financial advisor. I didn't start in finance at all, though I did get a degree in economics, so I had a financial background, if you will, but I actually started as a teacher. I started to teach 7th grade math, which I think most people do know, but I started in Dallas, Texas. Now, what we were good at, my program rather was good at, I did Teach for America, was good at going into primarily low-income neighborhoods, teaching kids, and eventually sending them out to college. Now, I taught 7th grade, so my kids didn't immediately go to college, but the program as a whole was sending kids out to college. Cool, great, except that year 1 or year 2, a lot of those kids would come back because they couldn't afford it. So in my mind, I'm thinking, look, I am from Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's known as Black Wall Street. I've always been interested in money. I have a degree in economics. I care about the community because it's very similar to my own. What if I could go and teach people how to invest, how to save, how to learn more about 529 plans, which is the college savings plan, and really close that gap? What if I could go and do that? Like, is there something I can do to help them afford college and avoid that part of this disconnect? Because as we know, if you save a little bit of money really early, perhaps college can be more affordable. So in my mind, I'm thinking that is what I can do. Let's go into finance. So I left Dallas, went to New York City, became a financial advisor, and that is the job that I started to do. Now, there's one thought I had about the business that I was completely wrong about. My idea was you put up a sign, you say, hey, Kevin Matthews, financial advisor, and people would run to your door because they care about money. They want to invest, they want to save, they want to budget, they want to do all that stuff. No, they don't. No, they do not. Now, you are going to have a few people who do want those services. I mean, people like this who are watching this video and the more than 13,000 subscribers, like, you are interested, right? But there are people who have tens of millions of subscribers, right? There's a difference of people who are looking for finance content. And there's a reason why Americans are not great at saving versus those who are watching other types of content. And that's not shade per se, but we know that it is uncomfortable to talk about money. There are studies talking about how uncomfortable we are and how many other things we would rather talk about than our credit score, or how much we have in savings, or our investing strategy, and things like that. So in my mind, I thought I would just sit back, people would walk through the door, I'd help them build client relationships, and boom, I'd be great. No sir, no ma'am. What actually happens is I would need to go out and do cold calls. I would need to go out and knock on doors and ring apartments. I would need to get on the computer and look at people's accounts and say, hey, would you like to come into a meeting and get hung up on? And get people in, and do that for 8 hours a day until I got enough people in the door to actually talk to me, and then, and only then, would they decide to invest with me. That was the job, and it was not something I was super comfortable with. But at the end of the day, it was more so of a sales job than a I am here to help people job. And you can argue that most jobs are all sales jobs. You have to sell a kid that the Pythagorean theorem is something worth doing. Okay, right? That's something you can say. But it's another thing to say that, you need to make sure that you are bringing in $1 million this month of transactions, right? Bringing in people to hit $1 million in sales or transactions again, or you not getting paid, or you not eating. That is also a thing, or was a thing rather, between, 2014 and 2018 or so. Okay, because more so back then than now, it was more commission-based sales, or a mix of commission and salary-based sales than what it is today. So the rules were a bit different. What really sold me to leave, or really sold me out the door, was this. There was an experience where I had someone come in, they just graduated college. I don't remember the exact amount of money, somewhere between $5,000 to $10,000. They came in and said, hey, I just graduated from NYU. I got a bunch of money. I want to invest it for the very first time. This was exciting to me because this is where I get to make a major difference in someone's life. And at this point, I moved up the ladder, right? When you start off, you usually start off at, whatever company will let you start, right? And they'll say, all right, you get whatever clients you can get. As you move up, all right, you can only talk to people with 25,000, then 50,000. At one point, I got to my last company, and it was only people who had 250,000 that I could talk to. But the bank was slow that day. I was a little bored. This person only had 5 to 10. So I opened the account. All right. I got to make a major difference in that person's life, which again is fun to me. When I get to help somebody buy their first stock, get their first index fund, that is fun. That I know that once they start doing it, they will remember, hey, I got my first stock, and this is going to set me on investing my first 1,000, my first 100,000, so on and so forth. We all remember that first personal finance book that we read, that first job that you got, that first paycheck that you may have got. You remember that. But for somebody who has $1 million and you come in and you help them buy a stock, that's just Tuesday to them. It doesn't really matter to them. Sure, they need some help every now and then, but what problem are you solving that they haven't seen already, or that truly changes the trajectory of their life? Not much. Not at that point, right? It's, who cares, right? I want to be a difference maker, something that really starts the journey versus somebody who just, keeps the plane steady or keeps the ship steady. That's just what I wanted to do and where I felt my difference truly was. So as I'm opening an account, everything goes to the manager and pops up on the screen, such and such is making this transaction, whatever. Manager comes out, taps me on my shoulder, brings me to the back and says, look, I know you opened this small account. What you need to do is ask and see how much money does this person have outside of the bank. Otherwise, you need to kick her to the call center, which is basically, you're not worth talking to a real person. You just get a 1-800 number. So this was back in 2017. So, online investing apps, the way we have them today, that wasn't a huge thing. It was, you had to call somebody or walk into an office still to get your whole investing stuff done, or log on to a computer. Wild times back in the day. But in either case, they didn't see that person as valuable enough to not only talk to me, but talk to anybody. Just go to the call center and just go away. And that didn't really make me feel great. So I did finish the transaction and, say, hey, look, here's a 1-800 number. You got anything else, feel free to call them. And that was it. Now from there, and this is a little bit into the weeds, when you are a financial advisor, you're also subject to a lot of what we call compliance rules on what you can and cannot say on these here interwebs. There was a point, and some of these rules have changed, depends on what company you are at, where if you even like a post on a LinkedIn or a Facebook or something, depending on what page you're on, you can get reprimanded for that. If you post something or you try to post something, it must be approved by somebody else. Y'all, I don't have time for that. Y'all know if it is breaking news or something happens, sometimes, depending on how big it is, I need to get out and say, look, this is happening right now. I don't have time to send it to somebody for them to come back and say, yes, you can post this. No, you can't post that. I don't have time for that. Okay. I like to do and say what I need to say, when and how I need to say it, the way that I feel like you want to hear it authentically from me versus the whole super legal team, super ultra filtered or whatever. And I said, look, y'all can have it. I would rather talk to the people the way I feel like the people want to hear it. So I don't plan on going back. I plan on continuing doing this and really growing this in a way that's much different and much bigger, doing more types of things and bigger projects. But in case you were wondering, that is the story. The biggest thing from that experience is I believe in access. Okay, that information I give to you. Okay, everything that I learned from meeting millionaires, all the skills and insight that I learned from that job, we talk about here, right? That is what I want to offer to the people when I write books, when I write stories, when you're on my email list. That is what I'm offering to y'all on this channel, is the insight that I think makes this channel different, and I do so in a way that is open and accessible, and in a way that's not, you know, pretentious or super high level Ivy League. Like, we can go there if we need to, but I don't really find that that Wall Street jargon is necessary. I want it to be in a way where you can watch it as an adult. My 7-year-old son can watch it and be like, oh, I understand that. He, you know, was watching yesterday's video and was like, that should be illegal that they're lying, Dad. I'm like, it should be, right? But even he can understand the content too. And I feel like that's how finance should be. So that's why I partner with the brands that I do. That's why I speak in the way that I do. And I'm not perfect. I make mistakes, and I'm human. There will be mistakes in the future as well. But if you want to learn more about how I view the market, how I research, and everything in between, you can check out this video right here.